What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Now, I wanted to spend some time to talk about the undercard fight on the Mikey Garcia Juan Manuel Lopez fight. Um, there wasn't really much to talk about. It was pretty much a shutout from Mikey Garcia. However, on the undercard, we did see a solid undercard as well with Terence Crawford. Now, if you follow the channel, you know I did a video on Terence Crawford before he even fought Bradis Prescott. I had seen some clips of him and heard about his name in boxing circles, so I did some research on him. So before the Bradis Prescott, I was able to see a little bit of footage of him, and I obviously watched the Brandon Rios Mike Alvarado rematch. And on the undercard, Terence Crawford fought on that as well. So in March, I believe. And I like Terence Crawford a lot. I think he's very solid all around. He's one of the fighters that you could see he has a mixed bag. He has different things, different tools in his arsenal, and he does some things in there that a lot of young fighters don't do. Exercise patience. Um, he mixes up punches, not only head hunting, but he also goes to the body. That's important. In this fight, he fought Alejandro Sanabria, who mostly fought in Mexico. I truthfully don't know anything about Sanabria prior to this fight. Again, he was fighting in his native country, so haven't really seen much from him. But he was a solid competitor. He looked like a game competitor, and it was definitely a good fight early in his career. As you guys know, Terence Crawford is managed by Cameron Duncan, who also oversees the careers of Mikey Garcia, Timothy Bradley, among others. And I think it was a really solid guy that they put in front of him. So Sanabria, he's a tough. He just looks like a tough overall solid fighter. He wasn't too aggressive, too reckless, and he was catching Crawford with some good shots that might have actually done something to a lesser opponent. But Terence Crawford took the shots well, and I think, like I said, I think it was a perfect for if you look at a fighter's career and their career path, early on in Terence Crawford's career, he already had a fight that was a gamble, and that was moving up to 140 to fight a puncher like Bradis Prescott. So I think this was a very good selection on behalf of Top Rank or Cameron Duncan, whoever was in charge of getting this fight together, putting a solid, all-around tough Mexican fighter in front of him to see how he decodes that type of puzzle. I think that's what fighters, especially early in their career, they need those types of opponents, like somebody who's not going to lie down for them, someone who's just going to quit or they don't have the willpower to go on. Sanabria was making it as challenging as he possibly could. Again, he was a game opponent. He hit Terence Crawford with some good shots, and I think this is the type of fights that will help mold and shape Terence Crawford and make him get better. Just to compare, if you look at Keith Thurman, another up and coming young prospect, his last fight was Zibik. I thought that was the perfect selection of an opponent. Somebody he's not going to just be able to knock out easily. Someone that's going to make you work for it. Somebody that has the power to possibly hurt you or get you buzzed. These are the types of fights that these young fighters need to help groom and help mold them. Um, and I see Terence Crawford doing some big things at 135 if he stays at this pace. He doesn't let the fame get to his head as he gets bigger and bigger. He stays steadfast with his training and keeps listening to his corner. It looks like he has a really solid camp and corner. I've seen him in some interviews, and it looks like his circle of trainers and sparring partners and stuff. It looks like he has some pretty solid people with him. So I really like Terence Crawford. I mean, he's a guy who shows he could be slick. He showed that in the Bradis Prescott. He moved up in weight. He was with a devastating puncher at that weight division, and he fought smart. In this fight, he did take some shots. He still showed a good defense, but he was more aggressive. Sanabria was more reluctant, more of the person who was trying to counterpunch. So Terence Crawford seen and took the lead and became more aggressive. Therefore, usually the people who are the aggressor, um, they usually take a little bit more shots than somebody who's a counter puncher, because it's like you have to take certain risks being the aggressor. But all in all, he still looked good. I think he had a solid defense, and he shows just the flexibility he has in his arsenal in his boxing game. Again, Bradis Prescott, the way he fought in that fight, he fought unconventional southpaw stance versus this fight. Two different two different styles for two different fighters, and that's what you need. You need the ability to adapt. You got to be a chameleon in there. I think that's one of the things that makes people like Floyd Mayweather great. The ability to adapt. Andre Ward's great. Just people like that who they fight a Chad Dawson a certain way, and then they fight a Bika another way. You need that flexibility, and to have all of those tools in your arsenal is really a good thing. As far as Terence Crawford, what do I want to see from him? I think just take a couple of more fights like this with just solid game competitors that are going to make you work for it. Maybe even some bigger names. I think at 135, ultimately, I would like to see a Yuriorkis Gamboa. He's new to the 135. Gamboa didn't look too great at 135, in my opinion, in his last fight against Perez. But that would be something to gun for Terence Crawford, since Gamboa did get the interim belt. Before that, to help build him up, maybe a Bulgare or maybe a Richer or Brill. That's going to be a tougher fight. Someone like Vasquez or Brill, because they have boxing prowess and they're very crafty and slippery type of fighters. So the upper echelon fights would be a Brill, Vasquez, or Gamboa. Fights that I think he could take now at 135 would be like Bulgare, a fight like Ricky Burns. I think Terence Crawford will beat Ricky Burns right now. I would actually like to see Terence Crawford versus Antonio DeMarco. I think that would be a really good fight to see how he does. We've seen how Adrian Broner looked against Antonio DeMarco. From what I heard, Antonio DeMarco just had another kid, so he's taking some time away. But I think that would be an interesting fight and someone you can't count out. I would like to see how he fares against someone who's been in there with the Broners and the John Molinas and the Valeros. So I think DeMarco and Terence Crawford would be a good fight. Even I would like to see Terence Crawford. Some people may disagree with this, but Terence Crawford versus Jorge Linares. Jorge Linares is someone who was destined for boxing superstardom. He was endorsed by Manny Pacquiao and Freddie Roach, and he didn't amount. When the light shined the brightest, he didn't flourish, and Antonio DeMarco beat him. So I would like to see Jorge Linares. He's trying to be on the comeback trail. He took back-to-back losses after the DeMarco fight. He took another loss, but he's on the comeback trail, and I think he's on a win streak, and he's trying to get back in the spotlight. So that's an opponent you can't just walk over. Jorge Linares is a tough fighter, and we could see how much he has left. I think Linares might be done. But again, it's not someone you can underestimate, and it's someone who has skill. So I would like to see that fight, and I think that would be a good fight to build up before he gets to a fight like somebody like Gamboa. Let me know what you guys think of Terence Crawford. You love him? You hate him? Does he have potential? You don't think so? Let me know. As always, hate, comment, or subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego, signing off.